Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome this Tuesday. It is March 5th. Hope your week has off to a great start and we get going. The market's hey, it's trying to come off these highs a little bit. We'll talk about do that though. Let's not forget that in this world we live, there are so many things that you and we have no control over. However, you can take control of your investment portfolio. You need to know the risk you have. You need to know how much risk you should have based on your circumstances. That's exactly why I designed the core retirement design system. Give me a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. We got Dave coming up next.
I can smell it in the air tonight. Somebody must be clearing Palmetto again, right? It's 8:41. That's 19 before 9. It's time to check in on your money. Find out what's going on Wall Street this morning. Looked like it was a profit-taking day yesterday. Let's see if we can turn it around today. Downtown we go to the offices of Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler standing by. Phillip, good morning. Good to hear your voice today.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Good to be here. It is Tuesday after, let's just say, a little bit of a red Monday. And I got to say, we're not off to much of a better start this morning either.
Yeah, I got to believe that somewhere down the line, and you and I were talking about it, just take the money off the table for a little while. We had a pretty good run up, stuff it in an old sock for a spell. Dow was off by 97 points yesterday. Standard & Poor's was off by 6. NASDAQ off by 67.5. They were the big loser of the bunch. That was 0.41% on the NASDAQ index. And I got to figure this week there's just going to be a little case of nerves until Jay Powell manages to get out of the Capitol building on Thursday with his shirt still on, wouldn't you guess?
Well, it will be interesting as he spends a couple days with those congressional folks up there to see. They'll be picking his brain and trying to figure out where we're going from here.
And a few of the blowhards will do their level best to try to goad him into saying something stupid, which, I mean, you get enough of these blowhards screaming at you all at once, and something's going to slip, and that always makes me nervous when the chairman of the Fed ends up getting hauled up in front of the Senate and the House on 2 consecutive days.
Yeah, it's a lot of time to be up there in front of those folks, isn't it?
Absolutely. News this morning, probably my top point of interest was we got the latest update from what the big brokerage firms think the Standard & Poor's 500 is going to end the year at. After a profit-taking day, it's almost kind of an interesting perspective. Another bank has joined UBS, suggesting that Standard & Poor's is it's a 5131 to start the morning, to give you reference. Bank of America, UBS, both are saying that it's going to end the year they expect at around 5,400, but the range is still all over creation. I was joking with you before we went on the air. Evidently, the analysts at J.P. Morgan are suggesting that we save our old sweat socks and put money in there because they think the S&P is still going to end the year at 4,200. I don't know about you, but I call that kind of a decline from 5,130. I call that a crash, don't you?
It would definitely be because it would be more than a correction at that point. Maybe not quite a bear market, but it would feel like it for sure.
That'd be over 20%. I think it'd qualify as a bear. So J.P. Morgan is even qualifying as saying we're going to really be in the crapper by the end of the year. Other tidbits that are out. The second biggest company in the country, Apple, really got whacked. I mean, $2 billion fine out of the European Union for trying to keep us Apple users on the iTunes store. Yeah, I mean, in any other company but Apple, that would be a big fine. I suspect they can probably take it out of their coffee fund, can't they?
Yeah, that's not a big deal for them. I mean, I don't know how much billions they've got stashed away right now, but that's nothing compared to that. But you add that, though, Dave, on top of their sales numbers that they reported out of China, and they've seen a 24% decline in iPhone sales in China, and that's got to hurt some. as we look at this year over year numbers. So it's got them trading down a little bit this morning, but not as bad as you and I might think. They're down about 2.3% right now.
It's not like some of those marginal companies that we talk about with 18% changes in a day. Apple is kind of an aircraft carrier of a company, but yeah, this kind of verifies what we got. Number one, China's been doing their best to try to funnel as much of their commerce into Chinese-owned companies. So, the domestic phone market there is being favored heavily. But you add to it the fact that something you and I have talked about, China is in the midst of a substantial recession at the moment, and none of that totals up well for a high-tech company like Apple that both manufactures over there and counts on a lot of sales over there.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And then Europe basically telling them they're full of hooey and trying to cheat their customers. I wouldn't say the last 24 hours have been really good for Apple, have they?
No, absolutely not. I would say it's been a rough 24 hours for them. But we talk about the markets as a whole, and every now and then you and I talk about this interesting subject of Bitcoin and digital currency. And it's I don't know if it's at an all-time high, but it's past the records that we had 2 years ago. I mean, it's trading at like 67,895 right now. But I found it interesting reading a little article by Peter Schiff he does a little show and talking about Bitcoin. He said that the reason obviously that it got a big boost was because SEC approved the Bitcoin ETFs, which allow people to more easily invest in Bitcoin. But I found it easy that he said that, the ETF is going to be the rise and the fall of Bitcoin. Because I like this quote. He said, it's going to be like a Roach Motel. The money's going to check in, but it doesn't check out. It's he thinks that the Bitcoin ETF, when people try to start liquidating, when it starts to fall, that it's just going to implode. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see. But I thought it was kind of an interesting perspective to have.
I got to agree. Given what we've seen happen to the cryptocurrency exchanges before this Wall Street fund started, I mean, we saw a couple of them go toes up because as soon as it starts turning south, people that are into Bitcoin say, "Oh Lord, got to unload," and basically the funds or the exchanges ended up, basically rolling up the carpet and shutting their door. I mean, nobody carries that kind of cash reserves handy at the moment, do they?
No, they don't. So you're right. That's something we still have to look at, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 12 to 24 months with the Bitcoin ETFs.
Oh yeah, anything that can swing 30% in a week kind of scares me. As close to retirement as I am, but I suspect you don't really recommend it highly to your clients either, do you?
No, I call it the Las Vegas play. If you got a little Las Vegas money you want to put in there, that's fine, but that's all you need to do.
That's kind of like the way I approach Hard Rock Bet. If it had hurt to lose it, I won't do it. Other tidbits out there this morning, that big merger between JetBlue and Spirit, they finally said, screw it, it's off, it's dead. They're going to stay as two separate airlines. I don't know that affects Wall Street much, but a bunch of us use those discount airlines out there. We still got a choice of two. They are not going to merge, and that's pretty much the end of that deal for the moment after the Justice Department raised one eyebrow, and that was enough to queer that deal.
Yeah, I think they figured there was no way they were going to get through it. But it's going to cost JetBlue. I forget what the penalty was to bail, but it was a pretty substantial number.
Yeah, but those breakup fees that they put into those merger deals can really be painful at the end of it all. Earnings season you can't say it's completely over when there's still household names on the table, but they're getting slimmer pickings as far as household names anyway. The big one that I heard about that reported in the last 24 hours was our old friend Target. How did Target do?
Hey, they did okay. They reported better than expected holiday quarter results. They are going to launch a new membership program. See how that goes for them. So that was kind of good. If you look at their store, same store sales, they fell 4.4% for the quarter. I don't really know what the expectation was, but they were profitable. They came in at a decent $2.98 a share on $31.9 billion of revenue, compared to $2.42 that was expected. So that was some good news for them. And even though they say sales are gonna still fall this year, they don't expect, at the best, they expect sales to be flat to maybe up 2%. But they've been able to do some inventory shifting and do a better job of managing their inventory, which is reducing their overall cost. And so they think they'll still be more profitable than the analysts kind of expected. They're getting a nice bump today, though, Dave. They're up 9.25% this morning.
That's kind of unique when you got a company that says our sales are going to be relatively flat and they still go up.
Yeah, it is. But when you say, "Hey, look, I've got inventory under control," because you mess up inventory, and that could be a big cost.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Target they've kind of become an artist at controlling their inventory. The last time we had an overstock problem coming out of the pandemic, Target kind of led the way in terms of inventory control, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did. They kind of have learned from a few things there and have seemed to have it under control from that standpoint. We
In
talked about.
contrast to some of the dinosaurs that we read about periodically, Target seems to have their poop in a group. What
Yep,
else have
yep.
we got?
So, hey, we talked about Apple. Let's look at some other things we have. Apple got beat up because of China. Well, advanced micro devices are getting beat up because of China as well. They are being blocked by the
Huh?
US regulators because of a chip that was designed in China. They've come back and said that that chip is too powerful and is going to have to be licensed by the Department of Commerce, Bureau of Industry and Securities before it can be sold. And so it's got some headway to go. So it's got advanced micro devices trading down 2% this morning.
You make too good a stuff, you can't sell it to China, in other words.
That's right. Well, it's the other way
Okay.
around. It's being made in China and they don't want it to be brought over here,
Oh,
is what it made it sound like to me. Well, maybe it is designed for China. I don't know. You read that fine print. Who knows what they're really talking about?
high tech's kind of lost me in the dirt
Yep.
anyway. I know. Given our choices, we just as soon relegate China to using Commodore 64s, but I think that train's left the station.
A long time ago, buddy. A long time ago.
Yeah, I think so. Anything else?
Nope, that's really it, man. Slow day.
All righty. In that case, resetting the table. It was kind of a modest profit-taking day. Everything was red yesterday, but not seriously to the point to raise great concerns. 45 minutes before we open, what are we looking at this morning?
Dave, if we take today with yesterday, we might just start to see a trend happening if it closes in this direction. And we've got the Dow down 1/3%, the S&P 500 is down 0.4, and the NASDAQ 100 is down a little over 0.6%. So solid red numbers this morning as we start. Silver up about 0.8, crossed over $24 finally again, $24.18 an ounce. Gold, man, since last week when you and I talked, taking a huge jump up 0.25% now, but $21.30 an ounce, not bad. Crude oil is heading down, down about 0.8 this morning to $78.09 a barrel, which is a lot better than what I saw the other day at $80 a barrel.
Oh, yeah. I was unhappy yesterday morning to report $79.75 at the moment, so I'm kind of glad to see it below 79. A little headroom wouldn't hurt. Overseas markets, Asia Pacific Rim, pretty much looking at what we saw yesterday. Everything's off, but not by a monstrous amount at the close this morning, excepting Hong Kong. They've got some issues. They were down by 2%, but the overall Asian Rim markets were down by a little under 1% on average. Over in Europe, they're kind of looking at us and saying, okay, it's not a disaster, but we're going to sell something. Overall European index down by about 0.14% halfway through their trading day. Stabilizing stuff probably involves not buying Bitcoin, but there's a lot more than that in terms of getting the risk out of one's retirement plans. How do I find you to get the risk out of mine, Phillip?
You're absolutely right, Dave. They can give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule their core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk 730 95.3 FM.
And back here again tomorrow morning, same time on Light. Phillip, thank you, and I will see you then, all right?
All right, man. You have a great day.
Appreciate you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler. It's not.
And folks, again, I want to thank you for joining me today. Have a great one, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye now.